food and drink and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited.
Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome to House of Ghouls Horror Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Van Ghoul, with my co-host, Colby, as always. Now, we have a very special episode here today. And before we get into it, I just want to say, if you haven't seen VHS Beyond, please go check that out before listening or watching this episode. So it is on Shudder. Check it out, particularly the segment Fur Babies, because that's what this episode is going to be all about. So with that being said, we are joined by a very special guest today. We have Libby Letlow, who plays Becky in the segment Fur Babies. So Libby, thank you for being here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Colby. Thank you for reaching out and asking. Happy to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. When action review of the movie, and I saw you commented it, and I was like, no fucking way, that's her. And it just blew me away. I was super excited and how just sweet and kind you were, like the complete opposite of your character.
I try to be as nice as possible, especially with people who are reviewing things that I'm in.
No, we were all, because me, Chuck, Justin, everybody who reviewed it, we all stayed in the same Airbnb at Fantastic Fest.
How funny.
So when I can't remember whose post you commented on first, but they like freaked
Chuck.
out. Yeah, I think
Chuck's was like the first one I saw. And then, because I was on TikTok that day, and I'm like, I bet Beyond Fest is going, or not Beyond Fest, Fantastic Fest is going on right now. I'm like, I want to see what everybody's saying, because I knew the movie was showing. And I saw Chuck's, I saw yours, I saw Justin's, then there were like a couple of other ones too. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm missing out on this, and I'm so sad.
Yeah, I think it was definitely Chuck, because he freaked out. He's like, it's the fucking dog lady. She commented on it, and like he was freaking out. So I went to your profile or followed right away.
Yeah.
And then you started commenting on my stuff. I was like, oh my God, she is so sweet.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think right when the movie finished too, and like this is before we even talked to you or anything, Chuck literally said, like, this is the greatest performance he's seen since Kathy Bates in Misery.
That is a wildly high compliment. Because
I fully support it too. Like, it is, you are one of the most unhinged characters I've seen in years.
I'm glad. It was funny because when my husband and I shot the audition, I definitely was like, oh yeah, I want to play it with like a little Kathy Bates flavor, of course, because that's just who she is. Essentially, she's, Annie Wilkes with dogs and not an author. And it's funny because I read later on that when Justin and Christian were writing it, they kind of had that Annie Wilkes in mind when they were doing the script. But at no time during the shoot, I think either one of us mentioned it to the other one. I don't think Justin ever said, hey, I want you to kind of play this like, Kathy Bates, like Annie Wilkes, keep that in mind. We never really went there. It was just sort of, let's just play. Let's just see what happens.
And so to kick it off to the beginning here, I'm assuming you are a fan of horror movies.
Yes, scary movies and some horror. It's funny, I'm like a big ghost story person. I love the supernatural. I love paranormal, especially when you get into like possession films, anything that has to do with like The Exorcist or anything like that. I have never been a huge fan of gore. I stayed away from it a lot, like as a teenager and in my like early 20s, but I don't know. Now I've kind of just jumped into everything. But yes, I am a horror film fan. Absolutely 100%. Have always been, will always be. My brother probably traumatized me when I was like 5 years old with Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nice.
Yep.
What are some of your favorites?
Oh God, I was thinking about this on on my way home today because I was like, I bet they're gonna ask what my favorite horror films are. The original Poltergeist is one of my favorite horror films of all time. And again, I don't know if I would consider it horror because it's I don't know, it's more like thriller, scary than horror. But I guess I think of like gore as horror, but I know it's not just that. It's just anything that like people are horrified. But yeah, the original Poltergeist, the original Exorcist. As far as newer films, I love Sinister. I
Mhm.
think it's one of the scariest films ever made. I really also really like the James Wan films. The Conjuring, the first Conjuring movie is one of my absolute favorites. I'm trying to think of what else. I know there's another one that I was thinking of, and now I can't remember what it was. I mean, original Stephen King movies too. God, Misery, great. Even though Kubrick's is not the same as the book, The Shining. I
Mhm.
really liked the Shining miniseries that they did with Steven Weber and what's her name? I can't Rebecca De Mornay. I thought that was really, really great because it was such a good, close recreation of the book.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean,
Um,
like The Thing, the original
oh,
Thing,
masterpiece.
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 Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, lots of them. Hereditary has left me
Oh,
scarred. There are like visuals from that movie that I never ever have to see again.
one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Same.
Another one of my favorites that I consider a masterpiece is Tusk. Did you see Tusk
Oh
before you
yeah.
did this?
Yeah, I've seen Tusk a couple of times. I've been a Kevin Smith film since
Mm.
the 90s, since Clerks. Um, so I've kind of just followed his entire, filmography. But yes, I've seen Tusk. I think I even showed Tusk to my husband because I don't think he had ever seen it. Yeah, it tends to be one that I talk to people about, and they're like, "Well, I've never seen that movie." And I'm like, "Oh my God, you kind of need to see it." So yes, when I read the script, I obviously was like,
Yep.
"Okay." And I didn't get the whole script, for the audition. It wasn't until I got cast that they gave
Yeah.
me the full script, and then I went, "I see what's happening here."
When
I
you were on set, did they talk about Tusk at all? Like, did they say like that's where they're getting the inspiration from?
No, I told him, I think, I don't know if it was like at the first read through or
Mm.
if it was the first day of filming that I was like, oh, so there's like some test vibes going on here. And he's like, yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, really? You guess so? Okay.
I love how everybody's saying that Justin just hasn't
He has
fully
a
mentally
process.
recovered from
Yeah.
Tusk, so he's taking it out on this. But right after the screening, I was in the theater with Kate Siegel, Christian, all the directors, and it was like the Q&A, and I
Yeah.
instantly raised my hand, and I went up there and got the microphone and got to talk to everybody. But my first question was for Christian, and I can't remember word for word, but I said it was pretty much how much inspiration did Justin take from Tusk for this movie? And he's like, well, Justin's not here, so I can't answer for him, but it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and from what I can tell, because again, I didn't know this either until I started reading a few things. It was that Fur Babies was originally going to be a full feature film. That's what they wanted for it originally before it was part of
We need to
VHS.
push for that.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'd
Yeah,
love to
I would love to see a full length of that.
That would be
Absolutely.
incredible.
get Becky's origin story.
Yes. Yeah,
Because
I wanted to ask
what terrible person her life was torturing dogs.
I wanted to ask what your reaction was when you first read the script, when you kind of noticed that it was very Tusk esque, if you will.
Yeah. Um, I mean, I guess my first impression was that for a horror film, that was the natural place for it to go. Um, I I mean, I was all in from the very beginning. My husband specifically said, he's like, they don't hurt animals in this, do they? There's like, you're not killing dogs or anything. And I'm like, oh God, no. No, 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 no. Dogs are the good things. The people are the bad things.
Mhm.
So only hurting people. And he's like, oh, okay, that's fine. So yeah. But yeah, I think in the horror world, when you're reading a script like that, you're gonna take it to its natural conclusion. I'm glad that kind of Becky wins in the end. Like
Yeah,
nobody, she gets away with it. She gets away with it, which is kind of cool. You don't always see the villain win.
Is there any
no,
particular place you would like it to, like if they ended up making a full length or a sequel of sorts, do you have any idea where you would like the character of Becky to go from there?
Man, I don't know if I have any idea of where I would want Becky to go. I again, I want to see like her origin story,
Mhm.
but I think a lot of people who watched it would probably like to see some sort of comeuppance for Becky on behalf of the people that Becky was hurting. So,
absolutely.
if Becky got killed, or I don't know if I don't know if dogs tore her apart, or if her dog people, children tore her apart or something. I don't know, but she should get some kind of, poetic end to her.
I think if she got turned into a cat, that might might do it.
Oh,
That's actually a really good pitch, Ian.
that's interesting. That's interesting. She'd be like, no.
Another thing, going back to the day you followed us all and were commenting on our reactions,
Uh-huh.
we all went to your Instagram and we were like, she really is a fucking crazy dog lady. Like you have all your dogs on your Instagram and everything. It was amazing.
So many pictures of my dogs. Well, it's great because my dog Bruce is in the
Mhm.
movie because I used my dogs in the audition, which is not something. So usually when I get an audition in, I always have to like put the dogs in the other room and like give them things so they'll shut up and they'll be quiet because my dogs like to anytime there's a camera on, they want to make all the noise and be the center of attention. So this time I was really excited. I was like, oh, I could just use the dogs in the audition. And I did. And yeah, they asked me, they're like, would you mind using one of your dogs for the part? They're like, we like the chemistry that you have between you and your dog. So yeah, we got to use Bruce in the movie, which is great.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
So you have a ton of credits to your name on IMDb and everything. You
Well,
you you do have a couple horror movies, but so far for our community and everything, this
mhm.
has really like set you off in our horror community.
Yeah, I am I've used this word a lot lately, overwhelmed
Mhm.
by the amount of reviews that have come out that have singled me out specifically. Justin and Christian are so sweet because, when we're on set or when we're saying goodbye and everything, they're like, "Oh, you did so great. You really made this movie. It's your movie." And I'm like, "You guys are sweet. Stop. Like, you don't need to blow smoke up my ass. It's fine." But yeah, the reviews that are coming out everywhere and my name being like on every page, I'm just like, what is going on? Because I assume, I mean, obviously, and rightly so, Kate Siegel with her directorial debut and Mike Flanagan with the beautiful script that he wrote, and Alana Pierce, who already has a huge following because of her gaming and streaming
Mhm.
and her voiceover work. um and she is phenomenal. She's like so naturalistic in that role. So I'm sitting here going like, well, yeah, obviously, yes, those are the ones we're going to look at. And so when I didn't even know when I was doing this movie that those people were even attached. It wasn't until I think a Variety article came out talking about Kate's directorial debut. And I was just like, oh my God, Mike Flanagan and Kate Siegel are going to
Yep.
see this movie and they're going to see me in this movie. And that's insane to me because I am a huge, huge Mike Flanagan fan.
Mhm. Yeah, we are too.
Um, I literally went on the Stephen King tour in Maine the week after they took the tour. And I was like, oh, why wasn't I here a week ago? But yeah, they're just incredible. So for my name to like even be breathed in the same article as those caliber of people, I'm just beside myself. I am beside myself. And I could not be more grateful for all of the wonderful things that you all are saying about me.
And like I'm not like I didn't talk to you before my review or anything. Like
No,
I'm
no,
not just saying it because, like to get cookie points,
Yeah,
Like I
no.
am a huge fan of the VHS franchise,
Mhm.
and I found footage is my favorite subgenre of horror.
Yeah.
So the first segment was what the SWAT team won. Like
Mhm.
right when that kicked off, I was like, this might be the best VHS segment I've ever seen.
Yeah,
And then
story.
I liked the Bollywood one. That one was cool. And then the skydiving one came on. I was like, nope, this might be the best segment I've ever seen. And then Fur Babies came on, and I was just blown away. But no, yeah, like you said, everybody attached to this, it's incredible. And I'm so happy that your name gets to be with all these people. But Justin and Christian definitely are not blowing smoke. You definitely stole this entire movie.
That's incredibly kind of you. I really, really appreciate it. I mean, and I've said this to my cast directly as well, but like I could not have done the job that I did without
Mhm.
the cast supporting me with their incredible talent. And then Josh Goldblum, the producer,
Mhm.
the crew that he has put together for these films is one of the best crews that I've ever worked with in my entire life. I mean, from art department to just production to camera department. I mean, every single person was like on their A game. The people that they got that came in to do stunts, the special effects makeup team. It was it was I don't want to say the word incredible anymore, but like it was truly awesome. It was just such an awesome experience. And not just because I got to work with Justin and Christian Long, but because every single person on that set made it an awesome experience.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to Josh quite a bit too at Fantastic Fest. Josh is
Yeah,
an awesome, awesome dude.
he's so he's so fucking cool. He's just
Mhm.
like a cool guy. He
He
really,
is.
really is.
It's funny too because Ian couldn't make it to Fantastic Fest, but after every movie, pretty much I called him,
Yeah.
and then after I talked to him about VHS, I was like, dude, wait for Fur Babies. Just wait until you watch Fur Babies. And I told everybody that.
Yeah.
Like I showed it to my wife last weekend. Like I skipped like we're gonna watch the whole movie, but I skipped every segment just to show her and my sister Fur Babies because my wife, she hates Tusk, hates it. I showed it to her a couple of years ago, and she completely hates that movie. But just because it makes her feel so uncomfortable and
I
just
was gonna say it's an uncomfy movie, and Michael Park is just what
mm,
what a talent. A person who has range, who is like underrated.
mm,
My God, that man, the roles that he has played in like what is it, Kill Bill? He plays like two or three different roles, right? In Kill Bill. Holy cow, that guy is like a chameleon. It's insane. It's insane. But
it
yeah,
is.
Tusk is not a comfortable film to watch.
But she loved Fur Babies. Her and my
Oh, good.
sister both loved it.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Good.
She's like I liked it so much better than Tusk, but she's like it's definitely inspired by Tusk.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm curious now, since you said that you're not the biggest fan of gore. How what was it like being on set? Kind of because it is a little bit of a gory
Oh,
movie. So
it's
how
funny.
was that?
When I'm in it, if
Mhm.
like it's so funny too because I'm a huge like I love zombies and zombie movies and stuff like that. And I've done like a couple of photo shoots that are like zombie based. I love playing with special effects makeup and I love playing with like fake blood. I have my own formula for fake blood that I use for like stage and photo shoots. So when I'm like around it, it doesn't bother me at all. It was just a phase that I went through. I call mostly it was like torture porn. Like I never saw all of the Saw movies. I still haven't seen all of the Saw movies. I need to go back and like watch them. I definitely can't do movies like Hostel, like that. I don't know. There's something about it that just doesn't sit well with me. But like I really love House of a Thousand Corpses and I really love The Devil's Rejects. So there is some gore that I definitely can fucks with. Not all of it. I don't know.
We're big supporters of House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects.
Oh,
Ian's
absolutely.
got Captain Spaulding on his arm.
I do.
Oh, yes. Amazing. Rest in peace.
Yep.
Yeah, I always forget. God, that sucks.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah.
So do you still keep in touch with Christian and Justin?
I do. I actually just um another podcast reached out also and asked if they would come on, and I said I'll get in touch with them, and he gave me his assistant's information as the channel to go through. But yeah, we now, especially with everything that's been coming out the past few weeks, we were definitely chatting and texting and sending voice memos a lot. It's calmed down now a
Yeah,
little bit since everything's kind of now finally out. The baby has been delivered. But yes, we are still in contact with each other.
because I think you should start pushing because the whole horror community with us want a full length version of this. So you need to push that on them and tell them we will push it out as much as possible. I mean, they're pretty big names. They don't need help pushing it out like indie horror.
Yeah.
Most indie horror people do, but we need it. It's not a want, it's a need.
I will be sure to tell them that. I mean, heck, when this comes out, I will be sending it to them and tagging them all over the place. And be
Perfect.
like, guys, listen.
And like you could do like great marketing for it too. Like you guys can make plushies of those three dogs that you have
Very,
on your
I
mantelpiece. That would
know.
be perfect. I would buy all three of them.
Absolutely.
Somebody was talking, I think it was Chuck was talking about we need a Gary plushie. I need a
Yeah,
Gary.
yeah, Gary
Yeah.
plushie.
He's got those bug eyes. It's funny. I don't even remember seeing that one on the mantle because it was behind me
Mhm.
or when we were shooting one of the commercial scenes. So I really only remember the first two. So when I saw it on screen, I was just like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, that's horrifying."
How much stuff was shot that didn't make it into the final cut?
Not much. There is
Okay.
literally only a couple of things. Um, There was a line that was originally in the audition that wasn't in the script when they ended up shooting it. And then there was a part where I was like holding up some of the dog pieces,
Hmm.
like the paws and things, that we shot that we didn't end up putting in, but it was minimal. For the most part, almost everything made it in.
That makes me happy.
Yeah. I mean, they wrote a pretty concise script. So
Hmm.
there really wasn't a lot of like, fat to cut off.
Yeah. And it's so funny too because it doesn't tell you during the movie like who directed what and wrote what, but like 2 or 3 minutes into this one, I knew it was Justin and Christian. I knew it was.
Well, their sense of humor, I think, comes
Mm.
out. We're obviously, the funniest one out
Oh
of
yeah.
all of the segments. Everything else is very serious, where we stand out kind of like a sore thumb. But I mean, yeah, if you talk to Justin and Christian, that's just how they are. They are constantly bantering back and forth and just inside joke. They're hilarious. They're both very, very funny.
They look so much alike too. Like it literally
And they
it,
sound alike. I
yeah.
don't I don't know if you were fans of their podcast because I
Mm.
listened to their podcast and there were some times where I couldn't tell the difference between their two voices.
That's funny. I honestly didn't even know they had a podcast. What's it called?
Oh God. Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot now, aren't you? Now I'm gonna have to look it up.
Or if you don't if you want to just send it to me later, I'm gonna download it
Well,
and listen to it.
I'll send it to you later.
Perfect.
They've taken a break for a really long time, from what I can tell. I know a lot of
Hmm.
their fans are like, when is the podcast coming back? So I know it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine how busy both of them are. So,
Yeah, constant.
like, we barely find time to do this. We still do it every single week, but we we're both. I mean, we both have full-time jobs.
Mhm.
We both have a whole family, wife, and we both work full time and then do our content creation as well.
I get it. I get it. I have a part-time job as well, and I do theater, and I try to audition for stuff when I get them. So I listen, I get it. And I'm married, and I have my two fur babies.
What
So
for your part-time job, did any of your coworkers see the movie?
no, I literally the part-time job I have now, I literally just started last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One of my coworkers from my previous job that I was working when I shot the film, she came over. We had a little watch party for some friends last Sunday night, and she came
That's
over.
amazing. How did
And
your
she's like, I
family and
don't,
friends take it?
I mean, my friends are stoked. I have so many friends that love horror. Literally, a friend today just sent me a screenshot that he was watching it. And he was just like, oh my God. And like another friend 2 nights ago, he was like, you're actually terrifying when you stare at the camera. So people are still discovering it. Like
Mhm.
you know, it takes time sometimes for everybody to go, oh, I actually have time to watch this now. Um, I think my family, for the most part, a lot of them didn't know that they don't watch movies the way that I watch movies. My family watches movies, but not as much. Um, my mom is just thrilled that she can share it with her Facebook friends
Mhm.
that her daughter's in a movie. My brother really, really liked it. My brother's a big horror fan. You know, he's the one who traumatized me. So, but yeah, it's been good. It's been really, really good.
I'm really hoping that this really like kicked your career off for more horror movies. I really think it's going to, and I really hope it does.
I so at the after party
Mhm.
at Beyond Fest, I got to meet the director of Dreamgirl, Virat
Okay.
Paul, and I I kind of went over and like tapped him on the shoulder just to say like I really enjoyed his segment. And he turned around and he looked at me. He was like, for a second, because he was like, "You're the dog lady." Um, but he gave me a big hug and he said how much he loved it. And his wife, who I think was one of the producers on the segment, she was there as well. Both of them are just absolutely lovely, but they gave me a hug and he took me and he looked me right in the eye and he said, "You're about to blow up." And I was like, from your mouth to God's ears, yes, please.
You
Oh yeah,
100% deserve it.
I I
absolutely.
I would love that. And I want to do more horror. I would love to. I would love to become a horror actor. That would be great.
I was going to derail the conversation real
No,
quick.
go for it.
So I looked you up on Instagram today, and I followed you, and I was looking through some of your posts, and you had brought up theater,
Mhm.
and so I saw your posts about what you're doing in the theater, and I was very excited about it. So I wanted to talk to you about it and see kind of what's going on with Rocky Horror.
Sure. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, well, not a couple, I guess it was a month ago now. Uh, my friends who are up in Bakersfield, which is just 2 hours north of here, it's my hometown, it's where I'm from. They're doing a production of Rocky Horror. It's not Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's not the shadow cast with the film playing behind it. This is a live musical production, so everybody's live singing, dancing, everything. Um, he was like, "Hey, we lost our Frank-n-Furter. Do you have anybody in your theater circle in LA who would be willing to come up to Bakersfield to do it?" And I said, "Yeah, bitch, me." So it just happened to be that the director and I have known each other since we were like 13 years old. So he said, he's like, well, there's one other person we're going to talk to. And if he can't do it, then you're in. And it didn't end up working out with that person. So I got in. I started driving up there to do rehearsals. We opened the same night that VHS Beyond came out on Shudder. So I literally got home from, I think, my final dress rehearsal, and my husband and I were sitting in the living room. It was like, I went to, because I went to my final dress rehearsal in Bakersfield, drove back to LA to go to the after party for Beyond Fest. And then it was like 2:30 in the morning, and my husband's like, well, I guess we should be responsible and watch the movie tomorrow. And I'm like, well, I'm not tired. He's like, I'm not tired either. So we watched the movie until like 4:30 in the morning. But yeah, I'm playing Frank-n-Furter in
That's so
my
fucking
cover
awesome.
show.
That's so awesome. I saw
It's
that and I was like, no way.
it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
Like it's such an iconic character, and
Yeah,
just having the opportunity to play that character, has got to be awesome.
it
I gotta go
is.
creep the Instagram after this so I can.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't know. I didn't see this one.
that's okay. I was gonna say, I'm sure through the pictures and everything, you've realized this is not, I'm not doing Tim Curry.
Right.
This is a very, very different Rocky Horror show. We're paying homage to very mid-century science fiction. So everything that she talks about, the usherette talks about in the beginning song in science fiction double feature, we're paying homage to. So like Anne Francis and Forbidden Planet and The Day the Earth Stood Still. So our set pieces are all black and white, and then we've got these hints of color everywhere. And I'm in like black and gold and pink for most of the show.
That's
So
so cool.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's
It's
a
one of
lot
those
of fun.
times. One of those times I wish I lived in California because I'd love to see that.
Yeah, I've never been to a stage play before.
Ever? You've never been to like
Mm-mm.
just a live
I
theater?
mean, besides like the high school plays and stuff like that in
Yeah.
school, but I've never like they have the Evil Dead play in Chicago that I've always
Mm,
wanted to go to because like they give you raincoats and shit if you sit in the front row because it's like the splatter zone. I really
yeah.
want to see that. I would love to see Little Shop of Horror on stage. There's so much stuff I want to see, but I just
I
I
did
haven't gotten
I
to.
did Little Shop 14 years ago, and it's one of the reasons that I got into puppetry, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's a fun show. It's a really fun show. How far away from Chicago do you live?
About an hour.
Are you in Joliet?
No, I was just in Joliet last night though.
That's so funny. I had a friend who used to live in Joliet, so.
No, I'm more northern Illinois.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it's called Rockford.
Yeah.
But I was just in Joliet last night. My sister and one of my friends, we went to a couple haunted houses out there.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah,
Mm.
Chicago has great theater. I got to go see Second City back
Okay.
in 1998, summer of 98. I went to a Second City show, and Rachel Dratch was in the show before she was on SNL. And
Oh, that's so cool.
I remember watching her perform, and I'm like, that lady she's talented. She's gonna be on
Mm.
something. And then literally that Christmas, I was watching Saturday Night Live, and she was on it. And I was like, that's the chick I saw at Second City. Yeah, it was crazy.
See, that's what people are saying about you right now for fur babies.
I hope so.
Next
That's
thing we're
the
gonna know,
great dog
you're gonna be in a
lady.
Mike Flanagan movie.
Yep. Yeah, it's just a matter of time.
For real.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Please. You know, I hope so. I also, I don't know, I get weird about the comparisons though of like, oh, it's Annie Wilkes, it's Kathy Bates. And I'm like, but I don't want to be that.
Hmm.
I want to be me. I want to be my own thing. So as flattering as it is, it's also one of those things that as an actor you kind of struggle with of like, oh, I hope people aren't thinking that I'm like trying to do an impression of this person.
I
Because
didn't think so at all.
okay, great.
That's why I loved so much was it was just so something new and original, but it reminded me of
Of
her
course,
just because of
of
the
course.
unhingedness, but you were still your own character.
It's absolutely, written in that direction for
Hmm.
sure. But yeah, I didn't want to just go in there and be like, oh, I'm gonna do a Kathy Bates impression because
I agree. Cause yeah, it was the vibe of Annie Wilkes, but it was like the beginning, I didn't get it. I didn't get the vibe, but in like the middle area, there's the Annie Wilkes vibe, and then after that, it was completely different. So, I would hope that you weren't typecast as that just by that one performance,
oh,
because
I
that was
don't
just like a vibe. But like, I think you did something on your own, like of your own, and
Mhm.
very
thank
original.
you. I
So
appreciate that.
yeah.
Man, I have to say too, Justin and Christian are like two of the most collaborative directors I've ever worked with. Um, there would be times where I'd ask them if I could try something, and they'd be like, "Yeah, absolutely." Um, and there were even times where we were doing like take after take, and Justin would come up to me and he'd be like, I gotta be honest, Libby, we already got the take. I just want to keep watching you because you're so fun to watch and play with because you'll do whatever I ask you to do. So it was just a lot of fun being on the set.
They seem like just such genuine people. Like I've Justin Long was like my childhood. Like I've been a fan of Justin Long since Accepted, Waiting, and then Tusk. Just anything he does, and anytime he's in a horror movie, I know he is about to get killed off in the most gruesome and graphic way possible.
I love that he's become this Scream King. I think
He
it's
is.
so cool. And my God, Barbarian was
Mm.
insane. Insane. The feeding scene.
Mhm.
Whoo! I gagged a little bit during that. I was just like, oh God.
That's the only time I have ever disliked Justin Long's character was in Barbarian.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
people
it's a
are
given. You're
likable guy,
supposed to.
but that's kind of the point is like you want
Mm.
to see him go through all this shit because he's such a despicable person.
But just his charisma and everything he's in is just he's just like a charming dude. And I've
Yeah,
just since like a young teenager, I'm like, I fucks with this dude. I love this dude.
yeah, yeah. God for me. I mean, the first thing I ever saw him in was Galaxy Quest, which is like his
Y- Yep, Galaxy
big
Quest.
credit, and yeah, I've been a fan of him for a really long time, and I'm pretty sure I held back from like fangirling too hard on set.
Yeah, it was kind of hard not to fanboy meeting a bunch of people at Fantastic Fest. Like Mike and
Yeah,
Kate were there, and I
yeah,
gotta say,
that's who I would have freaked out over.
Mike and Kate though, they were the most approachable and nicest celebrities there.
I love it. I love that. That makes me really, really happy. I love when I hear, they always say never meet your heroes,
Mm,
but I do love hearing the stories of like people that I actually really respect
yeah,
in the industry are genuinely nice people. That's always a good thing.
I was kind
Justin,
of nervous to meet Justin because I didn't want him to be an asshole because I thought he was supposed to be at the premiere, but he wasn't. But I still got to talk to Christian and everything. Christian was so cool.
yeah. Christian's super sweet. He's also very soft-spoken. I
Hmm.
mean, he more so than Justin. Both of them are not like, you know, crazy lunatics or anything like that. But yeah, Justin's a little more, I think, extroverted than
Hmm.
Christian, but not by much. Um, but Christian, man, it's those quiet ones that you have to watch out for because he's got a sharp wit. He's
That's how Ian is. My wife always says like how quiet Ian is, but then when he says something funny, it's like a riot.
yeah, yeah, it's true.
I love that.
Oh, Ian
Um,
turned red.
yeah.
He's like as red as
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, because he
Yeah.
knows. He knows.
Yep.
Is there anything that you're currently working on that you want to talk about or you're allowed to talk about?
No, I mean, no, I'm not working on anything right now. I am writing the VHS Fur Babies wave at the moment.
Hmm.
So everybody should watch it.
That's
Uh,
awesome that you get to enjoy that though, and you don't have to worry about like stressing about doing other things right now. I'm glad you're getting to enjoy it because you really are going to blow up very soon.
I appreciate that. I hope I do. Yeah, the only other thing I'm working on is Rocky Horror right now. We just had our second weekend. Next weekend is our closing weekend. If anybody's in Bakersfield, come to the Empty Space Theater, see Rocky Horror.
I would love to.
Right. I wish.
It's a fun show. I wish I could pick up this show and like bring it to LA
Mm.
because it's a really talented cast and yeah, it's just been so much fun. It's just exhausting. It's a very exhausting show.
Hey, Ian, do you want to kick off our favorite question that we always ask?
Oh,
Yeah. I say yeah, we have a few questions left here. Um,
sure.
so yeah, our favorite question that we ask everyone that we have as a guest.
Mhm.
So in this one, it would be if you could star in any remake of a horror movie or a sequel to a horror franchise,
Ooh.
what would it be? I'm going to add on an extra one. Who would you choose to direct it?
After saying all that about not wanting to do an impression of Kathy Bates and be Annie Wilkes, man, if Mike Flanagan wanted to do Misery, knowing what a huge Stephen King fan he is. Actually, okay, I'm going to throw a curveball here because it's not necessarily a horror film, but it's a thriller. If I could play Dolores Claiborne's daughter in a remake of Dolores Claiborne directed by Mike Flanagan, that would be
That'd be
freaking.
insane too.
That would be.
Yeah, Annie Wilkes or the daughter of Dolores Claiborne, Jennifer Jason Leigh was great. She was very, very good, but I would love to play that role now that I'm like old enough to play that role. Um, if if I wanted to be part of a franchise, I would love to get in on a Conjuring sequel, do one of the James Wan films. Yeah, because God, Ed and Lorraine Warren, there's a lot of stories that they've done,
Mhm.
and he hasn't covered them all. So there's got to be something out there that I could do. But yeah, that would be super fun too.
Like we've seen you as a villain, and I think you would absolutely slay as Kathy Bates's character in Misery. But knowing like who you are and talking to you for a couple weeks now, seeing you as a protagonist, I think would be incredible as well.
That would be fun. It would be super duper fun. And I mean, people have now seen me, I guess, do comedy. I don't know if we want to call for maybe it's a dark comedy, a
Yeah,
black
dark comedy
comedy,
horror.
or comedy horror. Yeah. Which I love. Shaun of the Dead is like one of my favorite films of all
Yes.
time. But like, yeah, I would like to do something dramatic. I would like to do a
Mhm.
little more drama, something with a little more weight.
Yeah, like kind of showcase your range of skills.
Yeah, it would be nice. Yeah, as an actor, that's what we all, strive for eventually. I mean, hey, if somebody wants to keep me working in comedy, I'm happy to do that too.
No, I like people who come from stage plays, like I feel like they have a wider variety, especially with their expression and body language acting as well. Like for example, David Howard Thornton.
Mhm.
If you're a fan of Terrifier, Art the Clown, he has some of the best like facial expressions and body acting I've ever seen.
Oh, he's absolutely incredible. I still haven't seen any of the Terrifier movies, but now that the third one is out, my husband and I are like, we need to sit down and watch all of these.
Mm,
But I've obviously seen him and seen clips of him
yeah.
do his thing, and he's incredible.
And that's
He's
where he came from.
got
He came from stage plays and
Yeah, sometimes it's hard though because with film and being on camera, everything's much smaller.
mhm.
Uh, but it is much easier for a director to look at me if I'm doing too much face acting and then go tone it down rather than try and pull things out
I
that
mean,
they're
I guess that's kind of a bad example too, because he's kind of been typecasted into the villainous, non-speaking roles. But this movie, Circus of the Dead, right here. So
Mhm.
they're making Circus of the Dead 2 right now, and he's going to play a speaking protagonist in that movie.
Oh, phenomenal.
So
So that's so awesome. That's
yeah.
great. I love that. I love it when actors get to kind of break out of what they've, normally been doing.
Mm,
My God, look at Jim Carrey's career after all of the comedy that he did and then started getting into drama.
yeah.
He's incredible. he's a phenomenal actor. So yeah, it's great. It's great to see. It's great to see people appreciate the range of the actors that they cast.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I hope you and your husband enjoy Terrifier.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a lot to take in.
I believe it.
It's fantastic, but it's a lot to take in.
We have a whole list right now. Like we need to see The Substance. Daddy's Head is now out, and I've been dying.
Yes.
Daddy's Head. What's the other one that just came out recently too? Cuckoo. I haven't seen Cuckoo yet, and I really want to watch
Cuckoo's
it.
good.
So, God, guys, it's going to be a busy October.
When we get off of here, my wife and I are gonna watch Daddy's Head
Yes.
because she hasn't seen it yet. I saw it at
Yeah.
Fantastic Fest and I loved it.
Yeah, I really want to see it. I've been looking forward to that one because I mean, I was saying this the other night. We were watching, I hadn't seen Talk to Me yet, so we decided to watch Talk to Me. And I was just talking about how closely grief and horror go hand in hand when making films. And then I was thinking about the Babadook. And I didn't particularly like the Babadook. It was not, I think for me, I felt the grief more than I felt the terror of the film. So it wasn't like as scary to me as I wanted it to be, but I feel like Daddy's Head takes it to where I wanted the Babadook to go.
So the Babadook and Daddy's Head are very, very similar.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I felt.
Minus the screeching kid. But yes, it does focus on the horror and the scares more than the Babadook.
Yeah. Good. Then I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I felt the same way about the Babadook the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't the biggest fan of it. So yeah, Daddy's Head, it touches on a lot of those same themes, but I feel like it does it better. Like it does it in a more horror way. And there's more layers to it, I'd say, than what the Babadook has.
I'm here for it. I'm into it. I love it.
Before we get off, do you want to list off your social medias where people can find you?
Oh God, yeah, sure. We can do that.
And then we'll put them in the show notes and everything too.
Yeah, that's fine. On Instagram, I am Ribby Retro. So it's just my name, but R's instead of L's. Yes, it's a Scooby-Doo thing. On TikTok, I am Lady Gray Low. And on Twitter, to make everybody's life hard, I am Libby_gets_low. Yeah, I have none of my social media matches at all. I do have
I love the Twitter handle.
Well, my husband's last name is Gray. We've been calling all of our domiciles whenever we've lived in a different place. It's Graylow Cottage or Graylow Manor, or Graylow Heights or whatever. But yeah, none of my handles match. I do have a Facebook account, just a professional like actor page. It's just Libby Letlow, actor, producer, puppeteer. So yeah, you can find that as well.
And speaking of social media, we typically like to wrap up our episodes on a particular segment.
Okay.
I'm kind of hoping that you don't experience this, but
Okay.
it would be, I'm just going to throw it out there. So we like to kind of talk about our favorite comments of the week.
Okay.
And it's typically Colby. Colby gets all the fun comments. But is there, like I said, I hope yours has been nothing but love. But is there any particular comment that was funny or that stands out that was different than others?
Absolutely. Well, so it's funny. I think Fur Babies and Dream Girl, I think are the two most divisive segments of VHS. It's like you either love it or you hated it. There was no like in between for those two segments. So for Fur Babies, it's funny because every time I've gone on like Letterboxd or just Reddit or whatever, just looking for reviews and comments, either it's like, oh my God, Fur Babies was so great. It was so unhinged. We loved it. And everybody's like, oh, I can't stand the lady in it. She's so annoying, or she's so like cheery. Dude, Variety hated us. I don't know if you read the Variety review, but they did not like it. But also, Variety, why are you reviewing horror films? Come
Yeah,
on.
Yeah,
right.
right.
Um, but
What do
no,
they know?
the main comment, so I'm gonna go on to a little rant for a second.
Oh,
Absolutely.
The
please.
main the main comment that I am seeing, obviously, is, well, Fur Babies has nothing to do with aliens, which you're right, it doesn't. But a lot of people are also saying it's not sci-fi. And I would like to argue that point. Um, Academically, do you know who's considered the first science fiction writer?
The
I do
Mary,
not.
first one.
Mary Shelley. What did Mary
Oh,
Shelley write? Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
She published it in 1818. War of the Worlds wasn't published until 1857 by H.G. Wells. And it's also academically one of the first pieces that mentions aliens
mhm.
from another planet. So science fiction had already been established before we created this whole aliens genre. And I would argue that what Tusk did and what Becky Baxter does in Fur Babies is very much along the lines of science fiction. It is looking for scientific advancement through probable ways, through probable, experiments and things like that. So to say that Fur Babies has nothing to do with aliens, yes, you're absolutely right. But to say that Fur Babies is not science fiction is totally wrong. So that's my rant about people saying that Fur Babies has nothing to do with sci-fi.
No,
That's
I
very
totally
valid.
agree. I mean, what does the SWAT team zombie one have to do with sci-fi? Like, is the stork an alien then? Like,
Yeah, well, so because if you go back and watch Stork, there's that, like, they look up at the ceiling and there's a
mhm.
hole, and then they see
Oh,
that
okay,
rock and the rock had cracked open. So I'm assuming the stork came out of that rock. So the stork is an alien of some kind.
fair
Dream,
enough.
Dream Girl also had nothing to do with aliens because from what I can tell, she seemed to be robotic
Hmm.
or android-like. I'm not sure. She might have been an alien. Um, but it wasn't specified. But it's absolutely science fiction horror.
Yeah,
Totally, totally science fiction horror. So I would say all of VHS, even if it doesn't have to do specifically with aliens, UFOs, it's all science fiction horror.
I can get behind that.
Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
because it's right. No, I'm kidding.
Ian, did you have any good comments to share?
Oh yeah,
I
do you have any of your favorite comments?
I did not. I mean, I got a few more than usual, but it wasn't anything like crazy. Like, I'm trying to remember what they were. It was the typical like this movie sucks. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't
Yeah.
anything super exciting. Um, yeah, Terrifier 3, I got a couple like it was overhyped, but again, it wasn't anything out of the norm. Anything super exciting. So I'm curious what yours is that you want to talk about though.
So
Oh.
I just posted a clip of the interview I did with Lauren Lavera a couple days ago.
Mhm.
So I interviewed Lauren, and then I just posted a clip because it's like a 10-minute long interview. So I post like a 2-minute long clip. But my Circus of the Dead poster right there, somebody made a comment and they're like, having a Circus of the Dead poster while you're interviewing Lauren Lavera is a big F you to Terrifier. And like had like an eye roll. And I was just like, am I not allowed to like both movies? Like, is that a thing? Is there like beef between the movies now? Like David Howard Thornton just got cast in the new one.
I feel like she would appreciate the fact that you have the Circus of the Dead poster up there.
I
I
mean,
mean,
look how much Terrifier stuff I
he's
have too.
also right there. I see him like off to the side too.
Yeah, behind the
Like,
Chucky too.
yeah, exactly. Like, all right, whatever. I swear to God, people just want to complain about something.
Oh,
I'm
Oh yeah,
sorry
absolutely.
your
I
life
get the
is I'm sorry
worst.
your life is so boring that you have to just go online and rage at everybody.
I get the worst comments. It's so funny. Like I'm in the process of making my merch right now for my channel. Like it'll have like the Colby Does Horror, and then on the back I have a collage of my favorite comments. Like the biggest one I have, like blown up, some dude told me to go kill myself because he didn't like a movie I recommended. It's insane, but I just have a bunch of funny comments like in a collage for the back of the shirt.
Yeah,
Insanity.
the internet's wild.
The internet sucks, but I think
Oh,
it's funny.
I know.
I like the more people talk shit on my posts, it just brings more traction to my videos.
It's true. It's true. I mean, what is it like, no or bad I can't even think of my brain is fried right now. I can't even think of it. It's just like
I know what you're trying to
oh
say, like
yeah.
no or bad press is still good press or
Yeah,
whatever.
bad press is still press. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
what I was trying to think of. Bad press is still press.
Yeah.
See, I don't know where the like art verse popcorn thing came from. Like because
Yeah, I don't know.
they're two very different. They have to do with clowns to a degree, but like I don't understand why it's like this made up beef because yeah, it's weird. Like we can like both of them.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's stupid. Like the beef between like the novel The Shining and the movie, like Stanley Kubrick's
Yeah,
movie. Like
yeah,
The Shining's my favorite movie of all time, but I also love the book. They're
yeah.
very different.
They're very different, but they can both be enjoyed by
Mhm.
people. I yeah, I don't understand how somebody's like, well, I like this, so I can't like that, or I hate that, so I have to hate this too. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's whatever. I just my wife and I like go through the comments together and read it and just laugh together. She thinks it's funny too.
I thought going through like Reddit reviews of fur babies would like make me upset, and it didn't at all. I was just like, whatever.
Mm.
You like what you like, you don't like what you don't like. And I'm sorry if my acting offended you or upset you or annoyed you in whatever way. Take it up with Justin. Like,
But no, Libby, seriously, thank you so much for agreeing to come on here. And then we also tell every guest if you just want to come on here and just do uh like just a regular show, just talk horror movies with us, you're more than welcome.
dude,
We've had
I
a director come back and do that with us, so you're more than welcome.
I love talking horror movies. I hope you know that I am a true fan of horror.
Yeah, and if
And
next time you want to get Justin and Christian on, we will convince them to make the full length version.
yes,
Hey
Absolutely. Like
man,
we won't stop until they say yes. So
we'll
bring
figure
them
it
on.
out. We'll figure it out.
dude, I'm just gonna talk to Justin about Accepted the whole time.
He'd love
I
it.
would have talked to him about Randy St. Randy.
I still have okay, so he still owes me a story. We were talking about we were talking about the Beatles in Walk Hard,
Mhm.
and we were talking about it on set, and then we had to like shoot something. He's like, "Oh, I've actually got something else to tell you about that," and then he never did. And I'm like,
Oh,
I need to know the rest of the story.
I
He's
love
like, "Yeah,
that.
I have a funny story for you," and then I never got to hear the funny story, so he owes me.
But yeah, and then don't ever feel like you're annoying us or anything, like reaching out to us. If you want to come on the podcast, just be like, hey, I want to come on this week. Like, all right, we'll make time.
You
absolutely.
know what? If as soon as I watch Daddy's Head and like Substance and any of the Terrifier, I'll message you and just be like, okay, I watched him. Here are my thoughts.
Perfect. I love that.
Awesome. Well, you guys have been great. I really appreciate you reaching out and asking me to be a part of this. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking time out and yeah, enjoy the free time now because I have a
It's
feeling
not
you're
gonna
not going to have much
last.
of it very soon.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. You never know. It's Hollywood, man.
Well, Libby, again, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And everyone watching, listening, again, if you have not watched VHS Beyond yet, please go check it out. It is on Shudder right now. And like I said, check out Fur Babies. It is one of the segments in the movie. Um, I say watch the whole movie, but especially Fur Babies. So again,
Watch the whole movie.
and especially Fur Babies. But no, again, Libby, thank you so much. We will include all of your social media links in the show notes so everyone can find you and follow. And yeah, can't wait to see where you go from here because, like I said, I think big things are on their way for sure.
I appreciate
again-
that so much. Thank you.
Yeah, you have
Absolutely.
to remember us when you're A-list status.
Yep.
Hey man, you guys and Chuck and Justin are gonna get like all of the credit for being my number one super fans at the beginning.
I love it. Perfect.
Hell yeah. But again, thanks everyone for watching, listening. We'll see you all next week. Stay safe out there.
Bye.
Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you.
There you go. That's it.